Hello everybody, I'm Scotty. Welcome back to Scotties Clock World. This is a typical Korean 31-day wall clock. The brand is ITF. I've got no idea what that means, but I'll have a look online and see what I can find out. That's the dial of the clock. It's got no hands on it, so I'll have to trace them down and see what I can find. I'll take the face off. It's just sitting in there. The screws are in that little packet there. And that's the movement. Skate wheels turning. It all seems to be there except the hands, but we won't know until we get round inside it and have a look and see what we can find. There's our movement there. Now the first thing we need to do is restrain the power of the mainsprings. To do that, we use a let-down tool and also a mainspring clamp. So first up, we have to wind the spring up a bit more tightly than it is at the moment. The winding arbor, number 6 size. So we've got that in our let down tool. We'll wind it up. That's getting pretty tight now. See if we can find a clip that we can slot in. But I don't think there's enough gap between the spring, that post there, that stops the spring going crazy if it breaks, and there isn't. Alright, so what we'll have to do is we'll have to use cable ties. These cable ties are 4.6mm wide. They're the absolute minimum size that you can use if you're going to use them to restrict the power of a mainspring. Don't use 2.7s, which are the standard size that's available. A pair of tweezers to grab that. They're not strong enough and they're quite likely to let go on you, and then you're going to have broken teeth on wheels up the train. Right, so we'll pull that in tight now as we've wound up the spring as tightly as it'll go. That'll loosen off a bit once that comes out, but it still won't come out very far. Now we'll do the same on the other side, on the time side. Tighten up the mainspring. And I don't think we'll get a mainspring clamp behind this one either, so need to get that as tight as we can. There's just enough room between the mainspring and that post there that stops it expanding too rapidly to get a set of flat mainspring clamps, and that's too small. But that's the flat profile as opposed to the big round profile there that we've got no hope of getting it in. And those other flat profile mainspring clamps are on another movement somewhere or other. So at the moment we're stuck with cable ties. So I'll feed that in there and around there and whoop in behind the, there we go. Put the other one on down there. Start it off. Pull that one round too. Now we can tighten down the cable ties. Pull them in nice and tightly. Down towards the centre. The mainspring, we don't want them up at one end, they might slip off. Right, now we can tighten that up a bit more. That is as tight as it's going to get. Alright, we've got the springs down there tight now. So we'll start taking the movement apart. We'll start off by opening this bridge here just a tiny bit so that we can get the suspension spring out. Here we go, it's got that out. Now I think that's tight, screwed in down there. Yeah, that's tight, that's not coming out. Alright, we'll take that out of the crutch by opening that loop on the crutch a little bit. I'll get another pair of pliers and hold it still on this side. Then we'll open up the other side a little bit. That should be sufficient, I would think. To get the pendulum leader and the pendulum out. There we go. There it is. All right. That's the tension spring for the hammer. As you can see there, returns us to its place. It's easily lifted out. We'll start removing some of these other pieces here. Now another small Phillips head screwdriver. We'll remove, that is tight. It's finally got the screw out. Now the snail will come off. Oop, we've just dropped the... Here we go. That piece sits in there like so and holds the snail on. Put them aside. Now we'll take the rack off by removing this little C-clip here. Got him now. Take that off. The rack should just come straight off now. And there's a spring on it. That little spring ties in behind the plate there. Take that off. There we go. There's the rack. That's come off. Now we got up here, that's turning around, all right. Right, we'll remove this. By undoing that circlip there. Once again, being careful not to crush it. I think that's got it off. Yep, there we go. That one did what I didn't want it to do. It took off. Be on the floor somewhere, so I'll have a look for that in a moment. Retrieve that. And we've got a spring here that ties in through that hole there to give that some tension. Right, we'll undo that. Clip it off from the top plate. It goes round there, then out through there. Now that should come off in one piece, yes, all right. Tweezers. And that there looks like it lifts that gear off also. That, and we should be right to go. There we are. Now we'll take the parts out and put them in our foam block. Start off with the strike side. Put the fly at the top. We'll take the mainspring out. That one's easy because we undid the circlip at the back. The click spring is attached to the great wheel there, and it runs around inside here where the mainspring is, and then just attaches with a little bit of a hook onto the click. Most interesting. That didn't cost much to manufacture, I'm sure. If you want to learn how to service, repair and restore 19th and 20th century mechanical clocks, then subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell.